What if your everyday is easier? What if your tasks are faster? What if you never have to chase due dates ever? What if your life is safer? What if your dreams are higher? What if kaya mo na? GCash gives you secure payments, real-time money transfers, accessible financial services, exclusive deals, and a full suite of business solutions para kaya mo na sumabay sa takbo ng buhay. Kaya mo na to stay connected. Kaya mo na magbayad anytime, anywhere. Kaya mo na mag-buy and sell. Kaya mo na to get exclusive deals. Kaya mo na magpera padala. Kaya mo na gawing safe ang future. Kaya mo na abutin ang pangarap. Kaya mo na makatulong, magbigay ng pag-asa. Kaya mo, GCash mo.
May not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, you never need to doubt it. Sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you. If you should ever leave me, though life would still go on, believe me, the world could show nothing to me. So what good would living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without
Dad, look at this, come on! Whoa, Dad, check this out, it's amazing! Look, the fork is a beautiful! Dad!
Why choose between two things when you can do both? Like insurance plus investment in InsureVest from Pru Life UK. Designed to give you the protection of insurance while you enjoy the earnings of investment in a range of plans that's tailor-fit to help in achieving your goals.
Dad, we forgot Mom.
Talk to a Pru Life UK agent.
My name is Malu Beres. I'm 31. I'm the founder of Potion Project. Basically, the mission of Potion Project really is to save stray animals, unwanted pets, and those dogs on death row sa pound. For me, dog is just God spelled backwards. If we're kind to them, then I think we'll be able to achieve what we want, and it's a beautiful world. And these animals, if you get involved in this mission, you'll realize they will really save your life every day. There's just so much that we can learn from them.
We at
Megaworld Foundation remains steadfast
in our support to the United Nations
Sustainable Development Goals.
17 goals, one heart,
for the greater good.
Our aim is to alleviate poverty in the Philippines
by uplifting the lives of the underprivileged
in the vulnerable sectors of society.
We commit to reducing hunger
by preparing nutritious meals for undernourished children.
Help them grow and become healthy,
allowing them to pursue their studies.
We commit to providing assistance to hospitals and
basic medical and dental health care to fellow Filipinos.
We commit to making quality education accessible
to deserving scholars once hindered by poverty,
so they could finish their studies.
We commit to empowering women
through programs that have positive
impacts on their well-being.
We commit to helping impoverished communities
gain access to clean water resources
in various cities and provinces.
We commit to bring light to homes without electricity
by distributing safe and eco-friendly solar-powered lamps
in off-grid communities.
We commit to equip the youth and the underprivileged with education,
generating opportunities for employment while also supporting the local community.
We commit to contribute to economic development
by fostering innovations with smart townships
through Megaworld Corporation.
We commit to promote equality by creating programs that cater to the elderly,
the differently abled, and the underprivileged youth.
We commit to build more classrooms
and libraries to benefit the communities
near our townships.
We commit to promote sustainable consumption by being responsible,
reducing waste generation through Megaworld Corporation.
We commit to engage Megaworld's workforce
towards eco-conservation
by providing them opportunities
to volunteer in environmental activities.
We commit to external support
for our marine ecosystem
through the restoration of the country's reef, among others.
We commit to being good stewards of the environment
by planting trees in a nature reservoir,
which serves as a source of drinking water
for millions of Filipinos.
We commit to assist families
who are affected by sieges,
standing with them in their recovery.
We commit to join other organizations
with the same advocacy of transforming the Philippines,
all for the betterment of every Filipino.
These are our commitments. Your part is important.
Rustan's personal shopper on call. What's that?
It's a safe and easy way to shop the most amazing items and brands from Rustan's in the comforts of your own home. All you have to do is call or message 0917-111-1952. It's completely free. You can order all the items available at your favorite Rustan's store. And if they don't have that particular item, you can just ask and the personal shopper will recommend similar options. We have our items, yes. It's just the easiest way to shop. And because I opted to, they delivered it straight to my doorstep, which is another awesome feature of the service. Thanks for stopping by. See you.
We choose how we use our energy, and we choose to run. We run when we want, where we want, for whatever we want.
Sometimes we run just for the bragging rights.
Yes, girl! And the more we run, the more we recharge. Ultra Boost 22 is hundreds of boost capsules fused together and ready to explode with energy. Built from 1.2 million foot scans for a new fit tailored for the female form.
I don't just spend my energy, I own it.
Not so long ago, a boy with autism got lost in an SM mall. For a while, everyone else seemed lost too. No one knew how to help him. That's when we started instituting programs and activities to care for the community and environment. Not only for children with autism, but for the other vulnerable sectors of our society. The story of the lost boy became a lesson and motivation for SM to begin an advocacy that would create a more informed and inclusive community through SM Cares. A division of SM Foundation, the corporate social responsibility arm of SM Supermalls. SM Cares was launched in 2004. Since then, we've been working towards creating positive change for the communities that we serve. Through partnerships with public and private sector organizations, we hope to promote social inclusion, and care for the environment. Our programs also contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030. We dream of creating a mall for all, where no one is left behind. A place where everyone has access and feels safe within our community. Because we believe that a little care goes a long way.
This is the Manila Bulletin, traversing time and truth since 1900. The newspaper with a century-long legacy of standing witness to the country's history and development. Today, the Manila Bulletin strives to make the nation be fully informed, and the Manila Bulletin will continue to inform, inspire, empower, telling timely stories and timeless truths through this century and beyond.
All right, good evening, everyone. It is that time of year, once again, that wonderful time of year when we all get to come together to speak up for nature and, of course, for the sake of our planet. Welcome, everyone, to Shape Our Future, the Countdown to Earth Hour 2022. I'm Mark Nelson, WWF-Philippines National Ambassador. Now, unfortunately, my wonderful co-panda, Pia Wurzbach, has a bit of an emergency, so can no longer join us tonight. But the good news is we have someone as equally beautiful, talented, and most of all, smart, like her, who's joining me in today's event. Hi, Isa.
Hi, Mark. Hello at magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. I'm Isa Nazal Habonal of the WWF-Philippines National Youth Council. And we're so happy na kasama namin kayo tonight wherever you are in the universe. O, di ba? Parang si Pia lang. Sana ito na ang last virtual celebration natin ng Earth Hour, di ba, Mark?
Oh, absolutely, Isa. Now, we hope to see everyone's happy faces again in person very, very soon. So, before anything else, first of all, we'd like to recognize everyone who has helped make this particular Earth Hour possible. We would, of course, like to thank our wonderful co-presenters, Gcash, the leading mobile wallet in the Philippines, And our event partners, Araneta City, Vista Mall, Bellevue Hotel and Resorts, Star Mall, and SM Cares. And also our virtual run partners, Ayala Malls, Pinoy Fitness, PruLife UK, Portion Project, Mega World Foundation, Lemongrass Consulting, Sun Life Foundation, Bulacan State University, Adidas, Rustans, Rudy Project, Natura Yoga, Urban Ashram Yoga, and AXA.
Thank you to our supporters from the government, the Department of Energy, Department of Environment, League of Cities of the Philippines, National Parks Development Committee, Philippine Economic Zone Authority, Metro Manila Development Authority, National Historical Commission of the Philippines, and the Climate Change Commission.
We would also like to thank our wonderful official media partners, the Manila Bulletin, the Philippine Star, GMA7, DZBB Super Radio, Eagle Broadcasting Station, Net25, Radio Aguila, When in Manila, Radio Veritas, WhenInManila.com, Our Awesome Planet, Orange Magazine, and Globaltronics.
Thank you to all our supporters and partners. Alam mo ba, Mark, bago pa ako naging member ng Panda Family, sumasali na ako sa Earth Hour. Pero dahil ikaw yung, kumbaga senior Panda, hindi naman. Sige, let's just put it like OG Panda because you were parang with WWF-Philippines before everyone else was. So,
okay, yeah.
Could you please give us like a refresher about Earth Hour, what it's all about?
Yes, Revilson and I are the Lolo Pandas of WWF for sure.
Exactly.
But, all right, let me tell you a little bit about Earth Hour. It started back in 2007, and it's pretty much grown into one of the largest, well, the world's largest grassroots environmental movements. It helps to give people a powerful voice on the climate and nature loss crises. And for its first decade, WWF used this movement to help build awareness on climate change. Then in around 2018, I think we started pivoting the focus from just climate to both climate and nature. And then fast forward a couple more years in 2020, or what we like to call the start of the decade of action for nature, we shifted the messaging by connecting nature as one of the solutions to the climate crisis. And of course, encouraging pretty much everyone to do their part to help conserve nature. Of course, this is also a great way to encourage our viewers to start their journey to sustainability by making sure that they read up on, very important, credible resources online. And so if you want to jumpstart your conservation journey, I suggest you log on to wwf.org.ph to check out our multitude of archives of articles and case studies. There's so much there. And like I said, these are all, you can trust these case studies. They're legit. Now, if you, on the other hand, want your kids to learn a little bit more about the environment, then we encourage you guys to download Camp Kalikasan. Now, Camp Kalikasan is our latest web app developed with our partners, which aims to both increase awareness and enhance understanding, as well as strengthen stewardship towards the environment among students and the youth.
Wow. Earth Hour really is an amazing grassroots movement, isn't it? So now, to start tonight's discussion, we'd like to call upon the woman who has overseen the many switch-offs throughout the years to explain what we want to achieve in this year's celebration of the Earth Hour. Let's call WWF-Philippines' Climate and Energy Program Head and National Director of Earth Hour Pilipinas, Attorney Angela Ibay.
Hi everyone and good evening. For the past 16 years, we've been celebrating Earth Hour, really coming together as one human race to commit to the conservation of our shared home. And we're very glad that since the first lights out in Sydney, Australia in 2007, we've seen this movement really stretch globally. In fact, Earth Hour has involved more than 17,900 landmarks in over 190 countries and territories, sparking online conversations across the world. In 2008, the Philippines joined. We celebrated our first Earth Hour then, and so tonight is our 15th time to celebrate it in the country. Last year, the media landscape was alit with the spirit of the hour, wherein more than 9 billion impressions related to Earth Hour was trending in 42 countries. Indeed, when Mark said that Earth Hour has become an international phenomenon, we're very, very happy because it is now recognized as the world's largest grassroots movement for the environment. And we thank you all for being instrumental in achieving this. But we're increasingly suffering from the consequences of our broken relationship with nature. And 2022 is a critical year for nature. And despite the pandemic, we will continue to direct our efforts to make people understand the gravity of the environmental crisis and the climate emergency we are facing. We know that in 2021, the Philippines was visited by one of the world's strongest typhoons, and it really wiped out not just livelihoods of our compatriots, but also lives in the Visayas and Mindanao regions. Last decade was the hottest ever recorded, with more than 60% of vertebrate lives lost. And millions still face hunger, thirst, and poverty, and these are amplified further by the COVID-19 crisis, taking many lives across the world. So as we continue to adapt to our lives to the impact of climate change and the COVID-19 and all the catastrophic extreme weather events we've experienced, we must create a new normal that puts people and planet first. We cannot return to business as usual. We need everyone to play their part in shaping a new future for people and planet. And this can involve taking individual steps towards living sustainably and urging our government and companies to help build a climate resilient, nature positive, and equitable future for all. Additionally, Earth Hour 2022 is taking place at a crucial time. WWF, along with other governments and alliance of organizations, are calling for increased ambition and urgent action to halt and reverse nature loss by 2030, which is just a couple of years from now. And when leaders gather later this year during the UN Convention on Biological Diversity for COP15, we want them to decide on a new global action plan for nature for the coming decade. And further, in the Philippines, we know that the nation will soon elect a new set of leaders who will play significant roles in achieving a climate resilient future for us. So as we celebrate the milestones we've reached in our fight for the environment, we know that tonight is still a reminder that our work is not yet done, and it's far from over. The integrity of the world that we have is at stake, and the loss of biodiversity is both troubling and urgent. So we all have to take care of this planet, the only one that we have. We hope that this have during the roundtable later will spark more conversations about the state of our planet, our environment, and what our leaders should be doing. And we hope that the audience takes away critical points when they do decide the choices that we will make for the next set of leaders of our country. And we hope that they would put nature and the climate agenda as a top priority. Again, to everyone, including our partners and supporters from government, businesses, media, other institutions and organizations, thank you so much for being here and continuing to support Earth Hour. We hope we will all switch off our inaction and speak for nature, not just through our words, but more importantly, through our actions. So happy Earth Hour, and let us shape our future to change the ending for our only planet, because we know together anything is possible.
Okay, thank you very much, Attorney Angela Ebi. Now, to further help shape tonight's discussion, we have a very esteemed guest today who will tell us a little bit more about what's happening to our planet and why this decade is so important. I'd like to call on Climate Change Commission Secretary Robert E.A. Borge to tell us why we need to act today.
Tonight, the Philippines joins peoples from around the world in turning off our lights for 1 full hour. It will be 60 minutes of darkness, a period of reflection, a time for renewed calls for decisive action. As stewards of our planet and vanguards of our nation, we are called upon to reflect on the many challenges we face in making our Earth a much better place to live in and a much better planet to leave for future generations. Science has taught us one tough lesson. Climate change is upon us and fundamentally changing the Earth and the way we all live. If we do not act collectively with a greater sense of urgency and commitment, we face a very bleak future. Yet, there is hope. Human agency and the will to find solutions will help steer us towards the path of sustainability and resilience. The Climate Change Commission joins all those who believe that together we can make a difference. Earth Hour is more than just 60 minutes of sobering commemoration. Its observance should rightly be seen as a way of life that supports our planet's life. Tonight may take just an hour of our time, but if we act with full understanding of our responsibilities and act beyond this window, then the Earth, our Earth, and humankind will benefit far beyond our lifetime. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay ang Pilipinas.
Thank you so much, Secretary Borge. Remember, climate action isn't just about the climate, but about all of us and about all living things on this planet. It's a reminder that everyone has a part to play in shaping a new future for the people and the planet.
I super duper agree. And now that we know what Earth Hour 2022 is all about, alamin naman natin from our audience. So how do you, our audience, intend to #shape our future? Please comment down below on how you are contributing to a future where people live in harmony with nature, and Mark and I will read them shortly. So actually, being sustainable is very simple and actionable, diba? Kasi sometimes we think of being sustainable as like, oh, maybe I can't join in. But no, actually, ang kailangan lang talaga is consistency. Well, let me cite siguro like really practical efforts that I myself do. Like I conserve energy where I can. So it's like Earth Hour every day here at home. And I always bring my own reusable bottle or cup and encourage people around me to be more conscious of their choices and even our purchases. How about you, Mark? For sure, marami ka rin.
Well, yeah, no, I agree. I've been carrying my tumbler here for I think about 15 years. It's gone all over the world with me, and I carry my own cutlery, my own steel straw with me. I always carry reusable shopping bags. That's always one in my backpack. There's a few in the car. And even if I know that I'm, for instance, going to the supermarket to get some meat or something, instead of getting them put in a plastic bag, I'll bring a Tupperware with me so they can put in that and then just weigh it and bring it home. All these little things, making sure you refuse plastic at every chance you get, but also inspiring others to do the same and taking the time to really explain why it's important and how it affects the planet and the oceans and the forests, our waterways, and then ultimately ourselves. I think is probably one of the most important things that we can do. There's so many of us out there that know what to do. We just need to, if we can influence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, it can have just a more widespread trickle-down effect. And that's what we've really got to hope for, I guess. Okay. Well, I see a few comments from our audience. So let's read a couple. From Ryan Macaraeg. Watching from San Isidro Elementary School Division of Parañaque City, we are celebrating Pambaraalang Bantay sa Kalikasan or Pabasaka, a school-based environmental group consisting of teachers, pupils, and parents, and one of our major activities is Earth Hour. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining. It's great that people like kids, adults, teachers, and governments, barangays are all getting involved and joining in on Earth Hour.
Right, thank you, Sir Ryan. And we have another comment from Ishi Padilla. I am shaping my future by trying to be more conscious about my everyday choices. It's difficult, but I know living sustainably will be worth it. That's true, you know. Actually, we say sometimes that it's easy, but like when you actually try to do it, it's really a change of habit. So some people struggle, but that's just like in the beginning. But once you get used to it, once it's part of your daily routine, you'll know it's worth it.
Absolutely. And speaking of daily routines, we've got a comment here from Dino Leon Carlo Calderon, who says he rides his bike. I see more and more people getting into bike riding, especially for short distances, and that's fantastic. We've got another comment from Tracy Montelibano Aquino: reusing, reducing, recycling, reusable bags, carry my water bottle as well, steel straw, yes. I love seeing all this stuff.
Yeah, and we have another comment from Matika Santos. I tell restaurants not to give me plastic utensils when I order takeout food. Actually, that's true, no? Because sometimes, even if you already tick the button that says, I don't want utensils, you still have to really remind the crew to not give you.
Yeah, sadly, it's kind of an automatic muscle memory for a lot of them, which is something we need to get them to unlearn. But well, for now, thank you guys so much for sharing. This gives us so much hope for the future of our planet. And remember, this time, it's not just about coming together. It's about acting together. It's about taking action now, because it really is now or never in this fight against climate change. It's kind of urgent.
Agree, Mark, and we're all in this together. Now, the highlight of this evening is our discussion about the environmental issues our next set of leaders should focus on. So, malapit na ang eleksyon, and 67 million Filipino voters are about to choose people who will lead us for the next 6 years. That's quite a lot of time. So, ito na ang pinaka-crucial na time para maiparating sa mga kandidato na talagang gusto nating bigyan ng pansin ang climate change.
So, let us now take the opportunity to call back Attorney Angela Ibay and welcome tonight's panel of speakers. Starting off with Mr. J.B. Garganera, convener of the Green Thumb Coalition. Ms. Mariglo Laridit, Director of Sustainability of 10 Knots. WWF-Philippines National Youth Council member and founder of the ASEAN Youth Advocates Network, Myris Ponon. Fellow Panda WWF-Philippines Child Ambassador Zia Vigor. And last but by no means least, Mr. Rodel Cabigal, President of United Ilihan Agricultural Workers for Sustainable Development.
Okay, so I guess we can start? Yeah, so let's start with a question for Attorney Gia Ibay. So, Attorney, please share the perspective of WWF Philippines. What are the short-term and long-term effects of climate change we expect to see in the Philippines? And how do you think will we be able to cope with these impacts?
Yeah, so, based on the latest scientific studies, particularly the latest Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, their study on adaptation, vulnerability, we're going to still see extreme weather events happening in this part of the world. And in fact, what is also worrisome is the sea level rise that would happen for a country that's archipelagic. Many of our islands will be definitely affected. In terms of extreme weather events, we'll expect, either stronger typhoons, and we've seen that recently, and also, in certain areas, drought, which is going to be challenging for sectors such as agriculture. So I know that other short-term effects will also look at, pollution in terms of the effect on the air. But it also highlights, the study also highlights in the relationship between the natural world and ourselves. So I think one of the things we should be able to do or should do to cope is really have coherent, urgent climate actions and ensure that there's really that just transition in the climate context. And we always talk about it, for example, in energy. We should transition into more renewable energy. We should have integrated action plans that include not just the disaster risk reduction, but also what should be included in terms of systemic risk. There's a lot of talk about nature-based solutions and ecosystem-based adaptation, and we definitely should be making our cities more resilient and responsive by ensuring that their climate action plans are aligned to the global temperature goal of 1.5 degrees. I think there are many things that we also have to undertake, especially on the energy front. One of the short-term things that I would like to point out is, there's a policy on what they call automatic pass-through in the power supply agreements, which in essence is, in short term, it actually, anything that they do, the cost is passed on to consumers like us. So we're advocating that this one be removed, and I think that's a very short-term action that our government should take into consideration, because if they're able to do that, they're also ensuring that there's more renewable energy that's going to put into our system, and that's also good for the environment and good for our planet.
Excellent. Wonderful answer. I really hope that we can push through with some of those initiatives. Now, our next question is for Sir JB. So JB, the Green Thumb Coalition launched its Green Scorecard amid the election campaign. So my question is, how does the scorecard aim to influence the platforms of those seeking office and also shape voters' minds?
Thank you, Mark, and good evening to everyone. Yeah, the Green Thumb Coalition believes that we do have some way to influence the candidates, and hopefully later on the leaders when they get elected. And we do that with the Green Scorecard. The Green Scorecard is based on the green agenda. So we within the Green Thumb Coalition, almost all the environmental groups, we kind of gathered together and said, look, can we have a set of agenda that we can pitch to the candidates, and then we'll ask the candidates, what are your positions and what are your proposals about this green agenda? So that's the first thing that hopefully is our contribution to this election. We would like the green agenda, all of these items, energy, waste, forestry, sustainable agriculture, water, human rights, and sustainable development. These have to be popularized with the candidates. So that's our first contribution. Second, the Green Scorecard will actually give us an idea how green are the candidates based on their answers when they answer our survey form. And we actually did some background review. We studied their media statements, their track record in Congress, or while performing their duties. And we have a lot of volunteers doing that. Some of them coming from the Panda family. We're grateful for that. And then we actually compile all the responses in the survey form. Now that's very useful for us. So hopefully in a few days time, a month before elections on April 8th, we will actually release the scorecard and give voters an idea how green are your candidates. Not green-minded on the negative side, but how close are they to the environment and the green agenda. But the most important thing, Mark and Isa, and all our listeners, we do have a receipt. May resibo tayo. We have the green scorecard. When they get elected, we can go back to them and say, look, on April, you said this one. On May, we had this Earth Day. We're going to do Earth Day in April 21. And you actually accepted that your rating as a green candidate. Where are you now? So we can actually hold our leaders accountable later on. For us, as we reflect on Earth Hour today, I think that's a very important reminder. We are entering a social contract with these leaders. When we sign our name on the ballot box on May 9th, we are contracting them to serve us. And we would like the Green Scorecard to be a part of that contract. And hopefully, we as good citizens can be better in monitoring and being part of the solution.
Excellent.
Right. Wow.
Thank you.
That's very interesting. Like I would look forward to that green scorecard to really seal in my votes for this upcoming elections. And now we have a question for Miss Marigs. So from your perspective as Director of Sustainability in one of the most popular tourist sites in the world, what environmental concerns do you have that you think are not being addressed enough? And do you think that these concerns pose a threat to the environmental tourism sector?
I think as I was listening to you, I was thinking it may be easier to ask me which concerns are adequately addressed, because that will probably be a shorter list, right? But tonight is Earth Hour, and we're talking about, hope and the future and new leadership and so on. So I'm actually thinking of two major areas. One is management of public or shared spaces and payment for environmental services. I just would like to focus on these two, and they're very much intertwined. First, management of public spaces. Tourism as an industry, you bring people to a place so that they could go out and enjoy a place, no? So, I mean, there are also, of course, there are different types of tourism, but in the context of our country, in the Philippines, really it's about inviting people from all over to come to the Philippines and enjoy nature, no? So obviously, management of public spaces, shared spaces, common spaces is so important to our industry. And, we have to do this, government has to do this with a very scientific perspective. Government has to learn. I'm not part of government, so I keep saying we because we want to be inclusive, but no, tonight we're going to hold them accountable. So we say government should do more projection into the future, again, based on scientific tenets, understanding limits of acceptable change. A reef, for example, a mangrove forest, a mountain, these comprise parts of our national patrimony. And because these cannot be privately owned, the misconception, and this is what I'm seeing all over the country, is that anyone or everyone can help themselves to it, right? And so government's role really of stepping in and saying, no, this belongs to the Filipino people. We are but guardians. The voice of government has to be more emphatic. And I think also the bigger challenge there is how government could enjoin its citizens in the role of guardianship, stewardship. No? So of course, there's the policing part where you say, enough, do not cut mangroves, naintindihan namin mahirap ang buhay, pero ito kailangan natin pag-isipan ng kinabukasan. But also, papaano natin bilang isang bansa, pangangalagaan itong mga ito para sa kinabukasan nating lahat. Private sector, NGOs have been doing a lot of work towards that direction, but we'd like to see government really be, like I said, more emphatic, no, in its actions. And then the second point that is related to the first one, because of course government runs on taxes, no, on funds that its citizens surrender to it, no. So second point is that everyone should be aware that there is a cost to protecting the environment, no? So just as a sidebar, El Nido, like you said, is one of the most sought after destinations in the world. Everyone refers to it as paradise. And of course, we're thrilled. But the truth is that what bothers me personally is that people forget, and I think I may have spoken to Mark about this previously when you were here last.
Yeah.
People forget that paradise does not heal itself. Once paradise is lost, you will need active decisions. You have to really think about how to bring it back. It will not just happen on its own, particularly because human impacts will continue to be a factor. I mean, to leave it on its own will mean, let's all stay away, perhaps, but we need to accelerate. We can't afford to stay away for long periods from special places, right? So there is payment for that, and tourism plays a huge role in creating revenue streams for special public spaces like protected areas from which tourists, guests, travelers derive distinct leisure experiences. So some areas in the country, in fact, have gone ahead with government-instituted users' fee systems, and it's obviously a good place to start. But what we are sorely in need of as a country are working models, no? Case studies that clearly show that money from tourists collected expressly for conservation must show just that it's being used for conservation in a timely manner and appropriate responses. No? And I could go on and on citing examples of where it becomes extremely challenging for us in the tourism sector to answer queries about naniningil dito, naniningil dyan, saan napupunta, no? And in a best case scenario, we say, okay, it goes to the rightful government agencies, but the bureaucracy is such that it's taking time for money to be plowed back into the areas where the money was collected from. And the truth is that these areas cannot wait. No. That money was needed a year ago or 10 years ago. So government, going back to the question, government has to really do a better job in ensuring that that loop is tied, that it exists at all, and that has to accelerate the completion of that loop so that protected areas, special places, public spaces that I've been mentioning truly benefit from these funds that are gathered from tourists and travelers and other users. So those are my 2 points.
Okay, thank you very much, Magbai, and I agree 100%. I mean, the enforcement of a lot of existing laws to protect the environment is so important, and also making sure that the funds that are spent supposedly to benefit the environment are circled back with as minimal red tape as possible. We've got to remember that it's so quick and easy to destroy an environment, especially like a special environmental place, but it takes so much longer to repair it, to like regrow coral, for instance, you know, from a carelessly thrown anchor. So the sooner that we can really take care of, make people aware, make government organizations aware that it's much easier and cheaper to protect them now rather than try and, I guess, refurbish them or regrow them or rewild them later, where it's going to be so much more expensive is such an important point. Anyway, moving on, sorry, for Sir Rodell, as environmental frontliners, what are the particular effects of climate change in your line of work? And do you think there are already ways to combat these negative effects?
So, good evening, everyone. No, pasensya na kasi mahina yung signal at saka brownout dito sa amin. So as environmental frontliner, yung una-una, yung nakikita namin as effect ng climate change, yung gutom ng mga farmer natin. So yung nakikita namin kasi yung production ay napakababa at saka yung farm inputs ay napakataas. So yung ginawa namin, nag-link kami sa mga private sectors, NGO, LGU, at saka nakapag-design kami, no, nung anong tinatawag namin na community-based at saka community-managed na mga program. So yung una-una ginawa namin, kasi dito sa area namin ay napakalayo dun sa city. So nag-design kami na ginagawa namin na environmental development and savings and investment. So yung ginagawa namin doon, yung mga farmer namin parang nag-invest, no? Dito sa aming association, at saka sila naman, no, yung ginagawa namin parang loan na sinusupport doon sa kanilang mga projects, no, kagaya ng pagtatanim ng mais, palay, pag-aalaga ng hayop, at saka pag-aalaga ng kambing at manok, no. So yun yung isang program namin, kasi alam namin na kapag yung farmer, no, ay nakapag-invest, no, meron siyang savings, no. So yung environmental protection natin ituloy-tuloy na 'yon, no? Hindi na yung farmer mag-encroach doon sa forest at saka mag-uuling, no? So another program namin yung multi-partite ecologically balanced for sustainable agroforestry project. Yun yung MIGSA project na nililink namin doon sa LGU. No, part ito ng payment for ecosystem services dito sa aming lungsod, no? Bago City, no? Part ng ganitong program, yung mga farmer natin nagtatanim ng kakawate for sustainable fuel wood production, no? At saka yung association natin yung nagbigay, no, ng financial assistance doon sa mga farmer through LGU, no, as part of our payment for ecosystem services, no? So yung ganitong program, no, dinidesign natin doon sa mga farmer natin na malapit doon sa protected area, no? So yung ibig sabihin ay mayroon na silang livelihood, no? Mayroon na silang financial assistance. So yung aim natin na hindi na sila papasok doon sa protected area natin, no, na pinoprotektahan, no, ng ating mga no, na pinoprotektahan natin, no? So another program mayroon tayong community green farm, no? As part of our projects, no, yung 10% na total land area ng farmer natin, no, ay nag-allocate for sustainable fruit farming, no, at saka timber farming, no. Bakit natin ginawa ito? Kasi mayroon na sila sa kanilang area, no, na pagkukunan ng sustainable na timber, no. So yung ibig sabihin, hindi na tayo papasok doon sa forest area, no. Mayroon na tayong sustainable na fruit, no. So tayo yung nagde-design ng market doon sa ating mga farmer, no. Kinokolek ng ating association yung kanilang harvest at saka tayo ang nami-mediate, no. Tayo nagma-market doon sa mga mambibili, no. So yung pinakamalaking problema natin, sir, yung makapag-link tayo doon sa mga funding agency o sa mga government agency, no, kasi malaki yung malaki yung ng pandemic, no. Malaki yung effect, no. So yung ginagawa natin, community managed tayo ngayon, no. Yung farmer natin hindi na lumalabas, dito na lang sa community, no. Nagtutulungan at saka mayroon naman tayong pagkukunan, no, kahit kunti lang, no. Tinutulungan natin sila. So ang ginagawa namin, ito ay parang model na, no. Nire-replicate na yon ng kabilang LGU, no. At saka marami na yung gusto, no, ng ganitong design. So mayroon na tayong sustainable na pagkukunan ng kanilang kapital, no, mayroon ng sustainable na mayroon na silang sustainable na production, no. At saka mayroon na nag-link na tayo ng market, no. So yung ginagawa natin parang naka-package na yon, no. So yung farmer natin hindi na sila parang nahihirapan, no, kasi nandoon na tayo, no, pumapasok na tayo doon sa ground, pumapasok na tayo doon sa community at saka nakikita na nila yung benefits, no. In rationally amin nakikita na una-una na protektahan natin yung ating forest, no. Mayroon na silang sustainable na pagkukunan ng kanilang pagkakailangan, no. At saka hindi na sila gumagawa ng mga illegal, no, na nagawain doon sa ating protected area, no. As of now, yung Negros Occidental, siguro yung protected area natin okay pa, no. Yung ating spring rehabilitation ongoing, no. Mayroon tayong project na spring rehabilitation, no. Mayroon tayong nakuhang fund, no, through payment for ecosystem services, no, na-rehab natin yung ating mga exist na mga mga remaining spring. No? As of now, meron na tayong reforestation program ongoing yon, no? Dito sa aming locality. No? So yun lang siguro. Maraming salamat.
Wow. Napakadami nilang programs, no? At nakakatuwa, really. The first answer pa lang ni Sir Rodel, na ano yung problema na nararanasan ng frontliners? It's hunger. And a lot of us like shrug off, from the community get to shrug off climate change pa na, hindi naman totoo yan. Pero yung farmers natin, sila mismo yung nasa frontline and they really experience the hard hit of climate change. And it's very comforting to know na meron naman palang solutions to these climate change problems. It's just a matter of opportunity and support from the right agencies, especially from the government. So this is a question for 3 of our guests. We know that the loss of nature and biodiversity is happening at an alarming rate, no? And in relation to our elections, yung napag-usapan natin earlier, what do you think should elected leaders focus on in the next 6 years in relation to these two intertwined issues of climate change and nature loss? So siguro let's start with Sir JB.
Thank you, Iza. Well, 2 things ang naisip ko kagad, no? Ano ba ang pwedeng gawin ng mga leader natin? Una, palagay ko dahil hinalal natin sila, we elect them to lead us, is dapat magpasa sila ng mga batas that will, protect more forest, that will ensure we have better water and we have cleaner air and even waste. So that's one set of things to do. Sana mapag-isipan nila yung tamang mga batas ipasa na. And two laws comes to my mind. Una, yung national land use. So there has to be a law. Dapat may batas na magsasabing may mga lugar na hindi pwedeng galawin. Kahit nino, whether it's extraction, development, converting the land, may mga lugar sa Pilipinas na hindi pwedeng galawin by the nature and intrinsic value of these places. Sa sobrang laki ng binibigay nilang services, we cannot afford to destroy. So that's the national land use law. And then sa akin yung set of green laws, siyempre green agenda. Malinaw sa amin what are the next set of laws na kailangan, a forestry law. GIA might be in the fight for environment in decades, but our forestry law natin is older than Attorney Gia. We need a new law on forestry. We need a new law on mining. We need a new law to make sure yung indigenous lands and conservation areas are protected. But I take inspiration from Marisa. Sa totoo lang, the whole world is looking up at the Philippines. Napakaganda ng mga batas natin. Forefront tayo. Lagi tayong nauna. Pag mag-isip ano bang magandang batas o ng patakaran. I think we were the first country to sign up to Philippine Agenda 21, even to SDGs. Ho tayo dyan. Pero pagdating sa enforcement, dyan tayo. And I will not hold my palpak ang pag-implement, pag-i-enforce. Kaya nga nung panahon ni Gina Lopez na dinner secretary siya, babae pala ang kailangan para maipatupad yung mga kailangang ipatupad. So, 2 things I think our leaders should do. Pass laws that actually protect and expand and promote yung ating natural resources. And number 2, we really need serious leaders who are strategic thinkers. Hindi pwedeng pag-iisipan nila, paano ba pagkakitaan tong likas yaman natin? Paano ba kumita sa mina? Paano kumita sa gubat? Paano pagkakitaan? It has to be paano pakinabangan ng Pilipino yung ating natural resource. And I think yung pagpapatupad ng seryoso ng mga batas comes hand in hand with good governance.
Talagang legislation, no? And proper implementation of the beautiful, supposedly na legislations. Now we go to Ms. Marigs. For the same question.
Okay, so just very quickly, I'm thinking of 2 approaches, no? It's a multi-pronged problem, obviously, and so it requires multi-level solutions. So let me share 2 levels of interventions. One is something that stems from global commitments. Okay, so for example, for the plastics problem, climate change, greenhouse gas accountings, in the context of the tourism industry, there are numerous declarations that we can bind, the members of the industry can bind ourselves to, like the UN, WTO, Global Tourism Plastics Initiative. And then there's COP26, the Glasgow Declaration. So these two come with guidelines that are very specific for certain industries. The national leaders must take it upon themselves to translate these declarations to action points for the local tourism industry participants. Everybody must feel some kind of connection to these global declarations, because we know, it sounds very highfalutin, but we know that when you study these things, they were actually created. A lot of work went into the process of crafting them with the common person in mind, because the common person is the beneficiary. And at the end of the day, we're all common persons. We just wear different hats, right? But these excellent declarations are there to guide us all. So the job of translating from that platform to a platform that reaches out everyone is, I believe, belongs to the national government. And then number two, create incentives. And I've been saying this forever, for tourism practitioners that on their own undertake conservation activities. You know, you run a tourism business, your hands are full, but you go over and beyond what's required of you. That is to pay taxes, pay people properly, follow laws, etc. And then beyond that, you do your own conservation work. Siyempre, I say that because I do that. And I say this because I want to encourage people and tell them it's not just something that you can do, but it's something that is just so meaningful and something very doable. So, for example, in El Nido, we have an El Nido Marine Turtle Network. And we created this, an initiative that we started in Tenat. So today we have other beach resorts that have access to nesting sites of turtles that participate. We collaborate in protecting turtles. So that means we had to go out, train them, tell them about, you know, what you can do, what you cannot do. And it would really be great if government at least rewards us, our network, so that other people looking at us as examples may say, oh, it's rewarding, you know, people notice. And that's how it goes. You know, we're not even asking for anything financial or anything, but it could be good if they could support us financially, of course. But when people notice that good things are rewarded, they will also want to copy it. And I mean, who wants to kill turtles, right? So you start with the non-debatable items like cute stuff, turtles, dolphins, and so on. And then you move on to other more, you know, difficult topics. But by then you would have already grown a constituency of people who are conservation minded. So, you know, steps that would build to something bigger. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Marings. And finally, Attorney Gia.
Yeah, so just to add to what the two ones have already fantastically said is that definitely our next leader should be focusing on implementing the laws, but I think they'll be implementing green and just recovery plans because we're still coming out from the pandemic, and those plans should protect our natural resources, pursue sustainability in all of our systems, whether it's food, water, energy, and definitely promote local indigenous production so that we reduce our reliance on external sources. And then second is that it's important that there should be right, robust funding and financing for local implementers like what Marig has been saying so that we can further push positive environmental impacts even further. So I think those are just the two things that I will add.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, incentivizing good works is just so important to get more people on board. And of course, reward the people that are already doing those good works. Moving along, we'd now like to get the perspectives of the youth as well, because it is, of course, the next generation who will be greatly affected by climate change. This is their future we're talking about. So this question goes out to Zia. Zia, how do you feel about the current state of our environment?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I am happy to declare that the current state of our environment is still habitable. But what is scary is that my generation has a big possibility that we will not be that lucky because maybe In the future, we will have to buy our own oxygen just so we can breathe fresh air. And we can only see beautiful animals like pandas in just paintings and drawings because they're gone. So I just want to share this one because it really caught my attention. It's only when the last tree has died and the last river been poisoned and the last fish been caught will we realize we cannot eat much. Just thinking about it makes me want to cry. If people are not willing to make some changes with how they treat our planet, we will be in a much worse situation than where we are now. And I just want to add this because it's actually the current situation, and I think it's related to climate change. So I'm not a volcano expert, but in my eyes as a child, this is how I see it. Whatever we give our environment, it comes back to us like a boomerang. And I know that no one can control when a volcano can erupt, but with the earth warming up and giving too much heat, it affects all of us. And we don't want to wait for a much worse scenario in the future. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Zia. Your message actually should be an eye-opener for everyone talaga na we should act now habang pwede pa. No? How about you, Myros? As a youth advocate, what essential facts about climate change and the environment should the youth know so that they can be part of the solution to climate change? And do you think that your generation is given ample opportunity to provide input and be heard regarding these issues?
Thank you so much, Isa. And hello, everyone. So nice to meet you all. I'll make this short because we're nearing Earth hour. I really would correlate to this since our time to act is very limited. We should be reminded that nature provides us everything we need to survive. Simply water, air, food. Nature will still flourish without us humans, but people will not survive without these natural resources. The problem is that the unsustainable demand and use of our natural resources, kaya we are in a climate and natural crisis. We have to remind ourselves that there is no planet B. We must act now to safeguard the health of our planet and in turn, our health and well-being. Kalahati ng populasyon ng mundo ay under the age of 30. Kaya the message and theme of WWF this year is for us, the youth, as we are the ones that will shape the world for tomorrow. We should strive to live more sustainably and change our lifestyle choices. Let me give you examples. Let's make a move towards more ethical purchases. Let's consume less and more wisely. Try to cut down on waste. Use bikes for transportation. Produce healthy food on balconies, roofs, or in gardens. Restore nature where they live and try to really push for renewable energy. Take part in movements for environmental change and educate themselves for issues and of course to your peers on these issues on the environment. With that said, to make this very quick, let me talk about the upcoming and national and local elections, especially for the youth that are watching. It's important to remind the youth to exercise our right to vote wisely. Voting is one of the greatest powers to solve socio-political and also these environmental issues. This is a grand time to elect leaders who value nature, and we hope that our leaders have transformative and sustainable plans and policies for nature because they will set the tone and define how our country will respond to a number of issues for the next 6 years. Thank you.
Wow. Excellent. Yes, I think it's very important, not just for the youth, but for everyone out there. Vote wisely, guys. Vote very wisely. Just to finish off, Zia, since you're part of the next generation who's going to be taking care of this wonderful planet of ours, please, can you encourage our viewers to create climate smart choices, especially in this very, very critical period for our country and our planet to shape a better future?
My generation will suffer the consequences of whatever action we take now. So if we want our world to still be habitable and if we want to live in a beautiful world, we have to act now. The best time to plant a tree is now. The best time to make that change is now. We are running out of time. If we're not gonna act now, it's gonna be too late. So we always have to keep that in our mind.
Wow, brilliant. Talagang the best time to act is now. Thank you everyone, to all our guests, for sharing your thoughts. Napaka-importante talaga na napag-uusapan natin itong issue na to at na-educate din tayong lahat in turn. And keep in mind that the choices we make, paulit-ulit nating sinasabi, lalo na ngayong paparating na eleksyon, will create a huge, huge impact in shaping the future of our environment and of our country.
That is absolutely correct. And now, of course, is a time for us to remember that reversing the effects of climate change is not a lost cause, and we can, in fact, turn things around. Of course, one thing to do is to make sure that we always stay faithful to our commitment to the environment.
Yes, at lagi natin sinasabi, diba, sa WWF Philippines, together, anything is possible. Kailangan ng gobyerno ay susunod sa kanilang commitments. Kailangan ang businesses magiging responsible for their actions. At syempre, dapat lahat tayo, bawat isa sa atin, ay mag-contribute to make the world a better place.
And that is exactly why we're here today. We're here today to ask everyone, and we mean everyone, to take action and shape our future today. And so now, to cap off this little part of our discussion, I'd like to call on WWF Philippines Executive Director, Catherine Custodio, for her closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Mark, and to Isa, and to our panelists, Zia, Myros, Marigs, JB, Rodel, and Gia, and to everyone joining this countdown event. Our speakers have discussed various issues on environment that cannot be separated from issues of human and economic development. When our leaders on the campaign trail talk about alleviating hunger, ensuring access to clean water, livelihood opportunities, health, poverty, disasters, it's the health of nature, of our living, breathing earth, that is the basis of all of that. We know by now that what we do to the planet, we do to ourselves. And there are so many hard lessons that we've already learned. Huwag na nating ulitin yun. Let us demand our leaders seeking election to answer, how are you going to address the issues of environment during your term? We're a country at the crosshairs of so many factors. We're one of the most mega biodiverse, so vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, an island nation, a young population. What is your leadership going to do to change the ending for our country? So I come to our Ask This Earth Hour, which is to let our leaders know that nature matters to you, so that it will be important to them. Speak out about issues of environment and look at our leaders' plans and their track record. How have they secured the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe? How have they protected or destroyed ecosystems that are our only chance of bouncing back from climate disasters and to prevent future pandemics? How do they propose to get all to work together so that everyone benefits now and into the future, and not just a few? The actions we ask all of this Earth Hour and beyond are really much more urgent. When all switch off our lights for an hour tonight, we send a message of solidarity with millions all over the world to say we are looking out for this one and only home we share. Beyond the hour, may we be catalysts for change, shaping the future, knowing it is in our power to do so. So happy Earth Hour to everyone. The force of millions is with us.
Thank you so, so much, Ms. Trin. And speaking of Earth Hour, we are down to the last few seconds. Here we go. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy Earth Hour! Woo! All right, it is Earth Hour.
Yeah, it is.
Now,
wow. Oh, actually, we have another comment here, no, before we proceed, Mark. Comment from Maria Betelina Cagnayo. Let's save our Mother Earth. Let's plant trees. And I usually donate seedlings from my kitchen waste. Wow. And I donated almost 100 fruit-bearing trees in Bulacan. Thank you, Miss Maria Betelina.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. You know what, guys? I mean, obviously people are still sharing their comments, but we also want you to share any pictures, videos, stories, anything. Just tell us how you're stepping up to change the ending for the planet. Just share it on your social media and make sure you use the hashtag Earth Hour Philippines 2022 and Hashtag shape our future. We want to hear your stories, want to see your pictures. We want to celebrate your Earth Hour together. Oh, that's awesome. You know, Isa, hold on, there. Is that better? Just kidding. I will turn mine off in just a moment. You know, Isa, it's really, it's really good that, you know, even if we're all socially distant and we're hunkered in our own homes, we're still all able to share this time to stand together for the planet.
Actually, yun nga rin iniisip ko, Mark, eh. Pero nakaka-inspire na maraming tao sa buong mundo ang nakikiisa para sa environment. And we saw just now how communities around the Philippines are celebrating the hour. And it makes me feel very, very hopeful.
You know what? I feel exactly the same way, Isa. I mean, you know what we say in WWF? Together, possible.
Right? So before we bring the night to a close, we just like to say a big, big thank you to all our partners and to everyone who helped make this possible.
That does, of course, include each and every one of you tuning in from the safety of your own homes. Earth Hour really is the people's movement, and it wouldn't be what it is today without your constant support.
Definitely not. And now is the time to step up and do our part for nature. Because now, more than ever, like Zia said earlier, we encourage everyone from governments, businesses, to individuals alike to help wherever you can. And that way, we can create a future where man lives in harmony with nature.
Indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, just want to thank you once again. I am Mark Nelson, WWF-Philippines National Ambassador.
And I'm Iza Nazal Habonal of the WWF-Philippines National Youth Council. This has been Earth Hour Philippines 2022. Enjoy the rest of the hour. Thank you, stay safe, and remember, together possible.